Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 505. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the internationally acclaimed and highly talented author, Victoria LaFountain. Victoria,
hi.
How are you doing?
Hello. I'm good.
Excellent.
I'm good.
All right. And so this is exciting because you actually have... you're on book 3 of your Eclarona series. And
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what your series about so far.
Okay. So it starts out in the human realm. A young girl, Melody, is raising her little sister because her mom sadly has passed away from cancer. And they are pursued by somebody who is not nice. And at that same moment, a mysterious red door, which you see obviously on the cover of the book, and you see it's just a plain, human road and sidewalk in front. They pass through that door as a way to try and escape this bad person. And they land in the world of Eclarona, where, unbeknownst to Melody, she was actually born.
Okay.
And her father resides there.
So did Eclarona kind of first show up in your imagination? Was it a character, a scene, a place? How did that first pop into your imagination?
It started as a what if.
Okay.
I historically have a horrible time sleeping. And to try to give my brain just one thing to focus on, I do this thing called what if. And I imagine a situation. I'm sure when I was 12, it was what if New Kids on the Block showed up in my bedroom and offered to sing me my own, my own personal concert. And as I got to be a, senior in high school, the what ifs were, what if there was a realm of fairies that had elemental powers, and it was a matriarchal society, and I just went with it. And as I'm imagining what this world would look like, the purple sky, the twin moons, the fact that the sun never sets, the world became Eclarona in my mind. And actually, when my children were little, I would tell them PG versions of the world of Eclarona. And so the world is very much like a living, breathing thing in my imagination. So when you talk about world building, like I could probably explain Eclarona to you to the point where you thought that you were living there. So yeah, it's a very real world in my mind. And I modeled my main character, Melody, after myself and my daughter.
So yeah, your world has a huge cast of fae. How do you keep it all straight as you write the drafts?
I have an Excel document. And every tab is for a book. So, some characters don't make it into the next book because,
right.
Stephen King, Kill the Lovelies, so each tab is updated with where we are in the series. And there are also future books that I'm working on as well. And those details are starting to be filled in. So on the first page, I have the entire original cast of characters, so to speak. And then I have what their element is, what their spirit animal is, how old they are, what their job is within Eclarona, because her father is one of 8 brothers. And they all have something that they do as a member of the royal family within Eclarona. So I have all of that on a sheet. I have all the different pets. people's dragons, if they have a dragon, then the dragon's description and name. A friend of mine saw my spreadsheet once, and he was like, "Holy God, that's how you keep it all straight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you've got to have it, you know." So I know that now that I've got Faded out and I'm working on Secrets, I've now copied, obviously, Faded into Secrets, so that I have those characters, and Secrets will introduce new characters, and those have already been added. But yeah, an Excel document.
And so describe so are you, when you put these books together, there's always the term, pantsers or plotters or plantsers. Do you write everything, do you outline everything out, or are you just kind of go by the seat of your pants and just see where your characters go?
Every book has an end point that I want to get to. Mm-hmm. So I have that part of the arc, just kind of like the really basic outline of what I want accomplished in this book. And then the rest is just chaos. I am what you would call a chaos writer. I have Secrets almost completely finished. I will update and make sure that everything fits in, and that the storyline is still right where I want it to be. But I've already started the next book, which is Vengeance. And the book after that, which is Manifest, I have the first chapter kind of written. And sometimes I'm laying in bed and I'm almost asleep, and an idea will pop into my head, and poor Siri ends up getting to take notes at 2 a.m. of something that I've thought of that needs to be put into one of the manuscripts I'm working on. Although she doesn't really have the word Eclarona down. So it ends up being my Corona. So I've learned to decipher my Siri notes from 2 a.m. because I never can remember what I was telling her to keep, because I'm half asleep. But then the next day I will pull out all my Siri notes, and I have a page on my spreadsheet that's notes for and whatever book it's for. And so yeah, I'm chaos. I'm a chaos writer, and I thrive doing it.
And so talk to me a little bit about what I love about the fantasy genre is rules. So for instance, how do you define, what are some, there's magic involved. Mm-hmm. Is it structured magic? Is it loose magic? How would you describe the magic system that you've created?
It's pretty structured. Any of the Fae, the Eclaronian fairies, they get elemental magic. Okay. And when they hit the age of 13, they test to see what kind of the 5 elements that they control. And then once that's determined, the next step is with the realm elders, and they test their what's called an astral pairing. So there's a chance, and it's not 100% chance, but there's a chance that your astral sign and the time of the year that you were born can manifest slightly differently. So say you have air magic, and your astral pairing turns that air magic into the ability to teleport you. So the wind can teleport you from point A to point B. So you are an air fairy with a teleportation astral pairing. And it manifests differently for everybody, and sometimes it doesn't manifest at all. Some fairies don't have it. But yeah, everybody has the option or the chance to have an astral pairing with their elemental.
And so listeners and viewers will be thinking all right, you mentioned 5 elements. I know 4 elements. So what's the 5th one?
Time.
Time. Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. And how did you kind of come up with that? What was that process like to say that you wanted to pull in that 5th element?
Well, 4 elements is very Wiccan,
Yeah.
right? Which is called the 4 elements, the 4 directions.
The compasses. Yeah. So it's like, I'm
And
trying to remember here. East is air, west is water, north is earth, and south is fire.
yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right.
Yeah. So it's very Wiccan, and my fairies aren't Wiccan. I needed to add something to differentiate. Although time is very, very incredibly rare, there's only a handful of fairies every year that are granted that particular element, but it's in there to make it less Wiccan.
Okay.
To give it that 5 elements instead of the 4.
Right. And so you kind of touch a little bit on with like with the Fae. It's not necessarily like little girls with wings. You also have gnomes and leprechauns, but leprechauns are called Cluclarin, I believe, or how do you pronounce that?
Chloroshans?
Yeah,
They're just like, they are similar to leprechauns, but
Right,
they are their own entity. They're a little bit more tricksters than leprechauns are, and they're a little bit more earthy than leprechauns. A lot of my characters come from Irish lore. Eclarona was built by the Fae of the Green Isles, and although Fae from all over is welcome there, the foundation of Eclarona is the Irish Scotland kind of connection.
Okay.
So a lot of I use Kelpies. Kelpies are very much an Irish mythical creature. I use brownies. Those are very much Irish. Some of the names of like Anran, which is like their god of death.
Okay.
So it's some of that stuff is linked to Irish mythology, and I think that's where the Chloroshan came from. And the main Chloroshan that you'll meet in the book is Yara, and she's a Spitfire.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. As an author, do you have kind of like some favorite characters that are almost immune to danger in the sense that nothing's bad? Like this is a couple characters that I know is going through the entire book. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. Or are you just like a clockmaker in the sense like whatever happens, happens. If you get yourself in trouble, I'm not helping you. Like, how would you say that?
So there are no characters that are immune to being injured.
Okay.
Kidnapped, tortured, any of that stuff. So no one is immune to the evil, and orc, I think it's pronounced. It's a Gaelic word. That is trying to take over Eclarona. And you meet this kind of entity a little bit more in Faded. But there are core characters that I will not off. Okay. Melody is the main protagonist. There is no Eclarona Chronicles without her. And her little sister Megan is pretty immune to death, as well as Melody's soulmate, McConnon.
Okay.
And her best friend Molly, who is a human. So kind of like the core characters. Okay. The ones that... And I probably won't ever kill Yara or Quinn either. Just because they're like the comic relief. Because they're just so ridiculous. there's been nights that I've been writing, and I'll get done and I'll go back over what I've written just to make sure that it makes sense and that it's keeping in my storyline and all of that. And I'll literally laugh out loud because I've read something that I wrote about Quinn or Yara. And I'm just like, dang, that's so funny. Like, I don't even know where I pulled that from, but that is a good line. And they're needed to lighten some of the heaviness of what goes on in Eclarona. So they're probably pretty safe too.
Now, do you have? So, what would you say is the age group is for the book?
Well, there are some spicy scenes.
Okay.
But I would say they're more sexy than explicit because they don't get very explicit. Mm-hmm. An adult mind will be able to pick up what's happening. So I would probably say 18 plus.
Okay.
Depending on your parenting style, if you don't mind sexy scenes that aren't like using those awful words that like those smut books use, then because like the guy, I did a radio show back in February, and he was going to let his daughter, who's 15, read, and I said, "There's sexy scenes," and he's like, "Oh, I know, I've I'm aware." But I think she can handle that. My 12-year-old, I won't let her read, but I'm comfortable enough with the 15-year-old reading it. So I guess it's kind of like at the parent's discretion. It's not like filthy. It's sexy. That would be the way I would put it. I don't write smut.
And so what would you say then is like so you said you're already working on, you already have the third book, Faded, is already in it's already, like, as you mentioned, as of this recording, it is available for pre-sale.
Yes.
And you said you're already working on book 4 and you're already starting a little bit like book 5. Do you have a finite series? Like, it's going to be like 10 books or 7 books or 12 books?
I don't.
Or do you have, no?
No. I guess when I run out of things that can happen in Eclarona, I'll try to leave it on a good note. But one of my favorite authors, Nora Robert, writes as J.D. Robb, and she writes what's called the In Death series, and there are over 50 books in that series right now.
Okay.
And I'm not saying there's going to be 52 Eclarona or 60, but if done right, you can have a longevity of a series.
Well, and they're not small books too. They're like 200, 300 pages or so. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reckoning is over 300.
All right. And how long does it take you? It looks like you almost looks like you like get produced like a book a year almost.
I've been working on them for a long time. I actually published Destiny 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And I got it. I went through Amazon. It was awful anyway. And I didn't like it. I felt like I had missed the mark, that I had missed some things that I wanted to add. I wanted to add more detail and maybe some of Megan's perspective on things. And so I took the first flop down and I rewrote the entire manuscript. And by the time I got done, it was so big that I had to break it into 2 books.
Okay.
So Destiny and Reckoning are the result of the rewrite of the original Destiny to Eclarona was what it was called.
Okay. Wow. And is there, and what part of the book would you say, like, starting with Destiny? Because you can't jump in and read Faded. You have to read Destiny first, right?
I mean, you can, because Faded is probably more an isolated part of the series because it moves from focusing on the royal family and Melody Melody is still involved, but it shifts to the werewolf territories in Eclarona, and updates you on a whole new cast of characters, pushing gay characters to the front as the main characters, the heroes, and not the side kicks that they are often portrayed as. Melody is involved in Fated, and she is present in Fated, as well as her father Drake, Megan, and McConnon. Yara and Quinn are all there too, but they become background for this. They're just part of the story. The wolves are the main line. So if you start with Fated, that book will make sense. Secrets will not. Because you're going to go, wait, what? So if you want to continue reading the whole in series, yes, start with Destiny and move yourself down the line. If you just want to read the gay werewolf story and you just want to do Fated, you can read that kind of on its own, standalone, and not be completely lost.
Now, do you enjoy writing the protagonist more or the antagonist more?
I think I put more thought into the antagonist. Because this isn't just, this isn't just a man with a mission or whatever. It's deeper than that. It's darker than that, and it's bigger than a single man. It's an entire, I guess the way I would describe it as a never-ending story, the Nothing.
Right.
So the main antagonist in this is something equivalent to the Nothing, and trying to destroy and wipe out everything in its path.
Okay. Wow. And so, what about like Reckoning? Where does that? And I know that's book 2, but where does that pick up with, like, for the characters? Is that something you'd have to have read Destiny before read Reckoning?
Yeah, because Reckoning is a continuation of the story from Destiny, and Reckoning leads into Fated. So it is still a cohesive series. It's just that because Fated and Vengeance will both take you outside of the castle and to a marginalized population of Eclarona. So Fated was werewolves, and just to give everybody a little hint, Vengeance is witches.
Okay.
So, and I will do that throughout the series. It's still going to be the same, but it's kind of focusing on what that antagonist is doing, and Melody kind of helping and assisting these marginalized kind of little pockets of Eclarona in a fight against the great evil.
And so what would you say also too then is, like, reading these books, what do you want the reader to take away from it? What's is there like an overall theme and message that you hope they get out of it?
Identity, learning your identity, taking on struggles, acceptance is a big thing because there are lots of queer characters in Eclarona. My therapist says that Eclarona is the world that I wish I could live in. So it is a matriarch. So when you get married in Eclarona, you take your wife's name. So yours goes away.
Yeah.
Hers continues forward. The queen holds all the power. The king is just arm candy. The queen holds all of the power. And it's a very vast and, I would say, all-inclusive kind of the Fae. Like, there's giants, there's gnomes, there's pixies, there's Florishans, there's devas, there are dryads, there are calypsos. So there's witches, there's werewolves. So there's a lot of fae have made their way to Eclarona to be safe.
And it's when you look at like the different races and species, did you feel like from a world building perspective that you had to like back into it and kind of create a history and culture and society for all the races of fae that you made?
Yeah, and the fae that are there is still ever changing. Eclarona isn't just dirt and rock. It's a living, breathing entity in and of itself. It's magic itself. And Eclarona adjusts and expands to accommodate new citizens. And so new fae are showing up all the time, and Eclarona is accommodating them. But I had to give everybody, and so when I do these focused books, I kind of give like the backstory of that specific species and how they kind of ended up in Eclarona. And I'll do that in Vengeance with how the witches became in Eclarona. And then obviously we know the history of the fairies, and they've been there since Eclarona was created. Everybody kind of has a backstory on how they got there. And it'll slowly be, I don't want to like info dump and do it all at once. So it'll slowly be revealed as the series continues as to what, why this species is there, what is their role that they play in the grand scheme of things.
And so do you see different mediums that you'd use for Eclarona, like a tabletop role-playing game or a board game or anything else with this too?
So I have a friend who happens to be an actor, who is currently working on the screenplay for Destiny.
Okay.
And he said that depending on his filming schedule, Reckoning might be what he works on next. And the idea is to pitch it for either a movie series or a TV series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and my kids want me to make stuffed animals of some of the creatures, especially the Nanooks, because they're so adorable. A Nanook is a small creature that is native to Eclarona. They are really good at finding things. They bond with their person. So the person goes to a pet shop, and there are breeders in Eclarona. There's a really good one in Darrenby, which is the village next to the castle. And you basically sit on the floor, are surrounded by these little creatures, and they're tiny little fuzzballs. And they pick you, and they bond with you, and they become your companion.
Okay.
And so Melody has one. Her Nanook's name is Daisy. And Megan has one, and hers is called Tink, although she does end up being Stinky Toots at some point, but she starts out as Tink. And
so for our listeners out there, you would find it would be Eclarona Chronicles, and we'll have a link in the show notes all about it. So,
and there's lots of TikToks on there. I've been lax lately, but there's a really good one for Faded that shows kind of the main characters progressing and growing up together because they did. And there's all sorts of them. Got tons of them. There's also lots of me of like identifying songs from the 80s and 90s because I'm Gen X. And
So then, Victoria, if people want to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place they could go to?
Well, I have a Goodreads author profile. And you can actually communicate with me there. I am starting. I'm going to do a. Now my mind just went blank. going to send out a newsletter monthly.
Okay.
Through that, once I start getting people on there to follow me, and then I'll start doing that. So you can communicate, you can ask me questions right on Goodreads. I'm pretty responsive on TikTok as well. If you messaged me on TikTok or the Gram, those are the three I use the most. I wasn't previously really active on Instagram, but I've been using it a lot more lately. Been trying to get on the Kelly Clarkson show, so I've been pushing that a little bit.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, listen, then, Victoria, you have to come back on once your other books are coming out.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.